We're coming to you from the CBD of Cape Town. We're in Salari Road. This is one of the main routes that people would travel going into the city, which is to my left and your right. And it is absolutely quiet here. We are at a point where the SABC and the Army, supported by City of Cape Town Metro Police, is stopping vehicles to check if everybody has the necessary documentation to be able to move around the city. They have been stopping every vehicle, taking down registration numbers, checking those documents to see and make sure that people do comply. And so far, all the vehicles that have been stopped have had the letters and will pass through. You're absolutely correct. The first 2 deaths occurred here in the Western Cape. At this point, we don't have much more information other than we spoke to the member of the City of Cape Town, JP Smith, who told us that there's largely compliance in the City of Cape Town, in this part of the city, but further on the Cape Flats, it seems like people are not complying, and that is, of course, one of the areas we'll be moving to shortly. And he also said that he hopes that people will take this seriously now. This is not a holiday. This is very serious. Stay home. It seems like somebody is being arrested here. We don't know what the situation is. Of course, as I've said, everybody that comes past here has to be checked for documentation. We don't know if the gentleman didn't have the correct documentation or what the situation is. I don't know if we'll be able to get an official to speak to us. Let me see. Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith? I'm calling Mr. JP Smith. He's of the City of Cape Town to speak to us to see if we can gather what just occurred. Morning, Mr. Smith. You're live with us on SABC News. As you see, he's keeping his distance from me. We have to keep that social distance. Mr. Smith, if you can just stand this way for us, please. Thank you very much. Can you tell us what happened now? The gentleman has been arrested.
So the regulations say that you're not allowed to be outside your house except for the purposes of grocery shopping or attending to a medical emergency or otherwise. So if you can't give the police the demonstrable proof or evidence that you're doing so, that is what is going to happen, and that is what must happen. There are a lot of people across this country today who are not heeding the state president's call. We had our first 2 fatalities this morning. This is not a joke. It's not a game. Forget about what the law says. Do the common sense thing and keep yourself and your family safe. It's now not about spiting government or being sterkgevreed or being tough and doing as you think fit. You must understand now that the rate of infection last night increased dramatically. We are now at 900 infections. By tomorrow, it's going to be 1,200, 1,300, 1,500. This is going to increase continuously and exponentially. People need to change their behavior. Big parts of the city are totally quiet. If you travel around here, you will see that the streets are empty. People are doing what the state president's called on them to do. But unfortunately, that's not the case everywhere. And there are some people who are not hearing. And for those people, there are going to be consequences. And there must be.
And I understand you said largely compliant in the CBD of Cape Town, but there's other areas where there isn't any compliance, and you'll be also moving there.
So, I drove through on my way here this morning. I was impressed by how compliant the general public are around here in the suburbs around the City Bowl. I hear now from calls from councillors across the city that is not the case elsewhere. I've gotten calls this morning from Mitchells Plain, from Makassar, from all over of councillors saying to me this is business as usual. People are out on the street partying in Elsie's, in Mitchells Plain, everywhere. And we are going to go visit Langa next and Athlone. And I suspect we will see that it is going to take a day or 2 to get people to solidly imprint upon them the need to stay in their homes. They're not allowed to be out on the street. The state president made a very serious call on us. That is our boss. We must listen. We are busy with a mission that affects all of us in this country. If you're not doing it for the law, do it for your own sake and do it for your family's sake.
Thank you very much. That was JP Smith of the City of Cape Town. As you heard him, this is very serious, and there are parts where people are simply not complying. He's saying it might take a day or 2 before people actually understand what a lockdown actually means. And we will have to say goodbye to you for the moment, because we will be moving off with the City of Cape Town's Metro Police to those areas that people might not be complying, and seeing what will happen there. But the message is very clear. If you do not comply with the rules of this lockdown, you will be arrested.